Hey, Brandon. Typical spring training question for you here, but is there anybody that's really been jumping out at you so far these first couple of days? It's whether it's pitcher or hitter who's really stood out, like someone who's already kind of in like mid-season form and obviously has been working out quite a bit during the shutdown.
Well, it's hard to tell because it's the second day, and pitchers have thrown. Majority of our guys have now thrown either yesterday or today. I watched Asher Wojciechowski throw a really nice bullpen this morning. I'm impressed with all of our guys. I think all of our guys have done a really nice job of staying in shape these last few months. I think they feel good physically. So I've been impressed with really everyone. I think everybody's come in ready to play, and it doesn't seem like we have anybody that we need to slow play because they've been sitting around. I think everybody's been doing a nice job of staying in shape these last few months.
John Mioli, go ahead.
How's it going, Brandon? We see a few players out there today who weren't participating yesterday. Is there anyone who's not available to you at this point that you were expecting to have?
There's a couple guys still going through the intake process right now, so we're just waiting on that.
Rich, go ahead.
Brandon, have you given much thought to your starting rotation? Are you going to use 5 guys, 6 guys, piggyback starters?
Yeah, we've put some thought into it, and we've had some discussions about it. I think that those discussions are going to continue these next few weeks, kind of see where – I mean, we first wanted to see where we were health-wise and let these guys get off the mound a couple times and see how they're built up. It's one thing to throw sides and play long toss and keep your arm in shape throwing, against high school hitters or, in your local community park. But it's another thing the intensity is so much different when you're in a big league stadium throwing against major league hitters. So we still don't really exactly know where we are and how built up our pitchers are. John Means threw a 4-inning live BP this morning. And I think a lot of guys are right around there. We're going to build those guys from there. But whether we're going 5 starters or 6 starters, not sure yet. If we have to piggyback, I'm not sure yet either because I'm not sure where we're going to be physically here at the end of this month.
Todd Karpovich, go ahead with your question.
Hi, Brandon. Rich sort of took my question, but to piggyback that also, are you comfortable, maybe more comfortable using openers this season? Is that something that will be in consideration just because of the quick spurt of games?
Maybe, yeah. Maybe, but not right. I mean, I'm not ready to make a decision on that yet. And we've had guys that have done it in the past. Malone and LeBlanc did it last year in Seattle. I've talked to both of them about that and their experience with it last year. So as of right now, I have no idea. But we're just trying to get our starters built up to be a rotation candidate and to give us some innings, whether that's as a starter or whether it's coming in after an opener.
And Connolly, go ahead with your question.
Yeah, Brandon, since we last spoke yesterday, Major League Baseball has come up and said that 19 different teams have had a COVID-19 positive. When we asked you yesterday, you said you really couldn't talk about that. It was my understanding that you can't mention names specifically unless those players say it's okay. But as far as organizations saying whether they've had it or not, some have. I'm wondering, we can ask you that question again, whether you're part of the 19, and also if not, if you can kind of give us clarification on why you can't answer that.
Yeah, at this point, we're just not going to talk about it. So let's hang tight for right now. I'm just been directed into we're not going to discuss it.
Okay.
Steve, go ahead with your question.
Hey, Brandon, another pitching question along similar lines. What is reasonable to expect your starters to be built up to in late July, and how does that impact how you'll staff and moves you'll make with your bullpen?
Yeah, I mean, I think in an ideal world that we're in the 6-inning range, 85 pitches, somewhere along those lines you're able to go your first time out. I mean, that's pretty realistic, and I think majority of our guys at least are on track for that, or even a little bit ahead of that. So I think that with an expanded roster, the first part of the season with 30, you can be creative with bullpen usage. If our starters are built up, maybe we'll be more creative offensively. But setting a roster right now is really not fair to anybody because I just have no idea until we start playing games and until we start. And we're going to start our inter squads pretty soon. So we're going to fast track this as best we can. Hopefully we're starting inter squads here in 3 or 4 days and get game action and get these guys to compete and then be able to make decisions.
John Muley, go ahead with your question.
Hey again. Brandon, you have a lot of guys with young families. They were all pretty glad to be able to spend the time they were during the shutdown with their kids and with their wives when they would normally be traveling on the road and doing all that stuff. But now they're here balancing, that career motivation and having to stay safe. Do you think that's a unique position for some of these guys to be in as this season's going to get going?
This whole thing's been unique. Yeah, I mean, it's and we've talked a lot about it as a club is obviously we're going to be as safe and healthy as possible, not only for ourselves, our teammates, but for the people back at home. And our guys are very understanding of that and very receptive to it. So I think that we're going to follow the guidelines as well as we possibly can, continue to have conversations, continue to remind young guys about it. But yeah, it's obviously a concern for everybody, your family members that are home and protecting them as well.
Joe Trezza, go ahead with your question.
Hey, Brandon, after we spoke with you yesterday, we Zoomed with Chris Davis, and there was a lot of excitement this spring about how he looked and how his swing looked and how he was swinging the bat. Flash forward now, can you give us an update on that front? And what are your expectations, if you have any, for him this year?
Yeah, CD looks great. I've seen him one batting practice, took some ABs in the live BP yesterday, took some good at bats in the live, in his live at bats, and took a great batting practice yesterday. So it looked like from that standpoint, he's picked up where he left off. I know he did put a ton of work in and was really facing a lot of pitchers back home leading up into this and was really preparing for when the season started. And I know that he's raring to go. He's excited. We're texting and calling each other constantly, and he's. I just think he wants to play, and I know he was excited about the at bats that he took in spring training, and really wanted to continue that. And he put the work in these last few months, and he looks great.
Dan Conley, go ahead with your question.
Hey, Brandon, you talked about inter-squads. Do you anticipate like a steady diet of inter-squads once you get through some of these workouts? And do you have a sense yet on being able to potentially play other teams? I think there was like a maximum of 3. Do you know how that could set up?
Yeah, so we're going to play as many inter squads as possible. I'm going to try to get these guys to compete and play in game situations as possible. We're probably going to move back the majority of the days, to get them more on an in-season clock, not a spring training clock, but get them a lot of evening stuff under the lights. We want to get acclimated to that schedule that we would normally be in right now, and like I said, try to speed this up as much as possible and try to play as many games as we can. Yeah, we're looking to play exhibition games. I think they're in the process right now I think Mike's in the process of talking to other GMs to set that up. So I'm sure he'll announce that when those are finalized. I think you can have 3, and that's what we're trying to get. But yeah, we're going to play as many games as possible till the 24th.
Jeff Arnold, go ahead with your question.
Hey, Brandon, thanks for doing this. In terms of what you saw yesterday from Renato Nunez, it sounds like he did really well when he was hitting out on the field. What was your takeaways from watching him yesterday?
Yeah, Nunez hit a bunch of homers yesterday. Our guy swung the bat good. Nunez swung the bat great, hit a couple of opposite field homers, which I love to see, obviously, from him. But it was, like I said, it's a live BP, so I don't want to put too much into it. But I did like the way he came back after missing a few months, and I like the way he's in shape. He did work defensively also. He continued to swing the bat, and he had a nice day yesterday, taking some at-bats for the first time in a big league stadium. So let's hope he can keep it going.
David Loria, go ahead with your question, David.
Hey, Brandon.
Dave?
Any team that gets off to a good start this year is a contender. Will that impact how long of a leash you have with some of your young players? Say you get off to a 15-5 start.
Well, I'm going to try to win. And we talked a little bit about it yesterday where we're still balancing some development, but we're going to try to win every single game. And yeah, I think that you manage a little differently with the short season, with the last 2 months to go and you're in it. I think your managers might do some things a little bit differently to try to win more games. It's not as much a marathon anymore, but it's a sprint to the end. So I don't see that changing. I think we're going to try to win every single game. We're still going to try to see young players play and balance that out.